Right, we're gonna continue the work here, and I just want to let you know that the range isn't actually an average, even though this section is called averages because it mostly is averages, but the range is actually called a measure of spread, which is basically just a measure of how spread out the data is. But it's not really the best measure of spread. You'll see better ones if you do any work with statistics later on, or something. You should see better ones like the standard deviation, which is more accurate. But for this course we just need to understand the range. The range is basically the highest minus the lowest in the data, and if we've got a high range, that basically means that there's a big difference between the biggest and the smallest value, and if it's a low range it shows that there isn't much difference. So let's do a few examples here. The first one, I just find the biggest number, 24, and I find the smallest number, 5, and I subtract. I get 19. Same with the next one here. I find the biggest number, 38, smallest number, 2, and I subtract. I get 36, so the range here is 36. And here I've got bigger numbers, but we can say that the biggest one's 98. The smallest one here is 35. So just subtract them. And I get 63. So range here is 63. And on these ones these are basically like scores in something. I don't know, it's just some example I've made up. It just scores in something, whatever. And we want to find which one of these is the most and least consistent. It's just an example of how we can use the range for problems. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work out the range of each one of these. So in the first one it's going to get 12 minus 5, which is 7. So range for the first one is 7. And then for the next one I've got a 9, which is my biggest. And then 2 is the smallest, so I get 7 again. So range for this one here is also 7. For the next one here, I've got 15, which is the biggest. And then the smallest one's 3, so I do 15 minus 3 and get my range as 12. And then the last one here, I've got 19, and then the smallest one's a 4, so I get my range 15. Now, when we look at the ranges, hopefully we can see which one is the least consistent. So we could say these are teams or players, and we could just call this one 1, 2, 3, and 4, just like that. And if you can't see that, doesn't matter, it's just the top one's 1, next one down's 2, and you know, next one 3 and 4, just from the top. So we can say that the least consistent one's going to be 4, because look at the difference between the biggest and the lowest. It's 15. So that means that the scores aren't very equal. So that means this one here is the least consistent. And for the most consistent, that's going to be the lowest range, which is both of the top ones because they've got the same range. I'm just going by this data here, but maybe if you use a different measure of spread later on, you might find a different answer, but here we're just using the range because it's the only one that we need for this course. And if one of these is the most consistent or least consistent, that doesn't mean one of these is the best. You cannot really determine which one's the best from the range. You just have to add up the values or something. Yeah, you can add up the values and see what's the highest total to find out which one's the best, because it's just about consistent.